14 hours ago, something happened beneath our feet that no scientific model can explain and no historical record can match. Every seismograph on Earth, from the United States Geological Survey Network in Colorado to deep underground monitoring stations in Japan, detected the same signal at the same time. Scientists have spent hours trying to classify it, and they've failed. This wasn't an earthquake. It wasn't a tectonic movement. It wasn't anything our planet has ever produced in 4.5 billion years of geological history. Within minutes, two independent satellite systems confirmed the same anomaly. The Swarm satellite constellation and GRACE-4 detected a massive shift deep inside Earth. Around 400 million tons of molten iron from the outer core moved upward by 15 kilometers in less than 40 minutes. That alone breaks everything we understand about planetary physics. But what makes it even more unsettling is the direction of the force behind it. When scientists traced the vector, it formed a straight line from Earth's core, through the planet, and out into deep space, ending at the coordinates of something known as 3I Atlas. To understand why this is impossible, you have to understand how Earth is built. Our planet isn't random inside, it's a layered structure designed by physics itself. The crust, which ranges from 5 to 70 kilometers thick, sits on top. Beneath it lies the mantle, a vast region nearly 2,900 kilometers deep, made of solid rock that flows slowly over millions of years due to intense heat and pressure. Below that is the outer core, a massive ocean of molten iron and nickel, about 2,260 kilometers thick, with temperatures between 4,000 and 5,000 degrees Celsius. At the center is the inner core, a solid iron sphere held together not by low temperature, but by extreme pressure. Under normal conditions, the outer core stays exactly where it is. The reason is simple: density. Molten iron is heavier than the rock above it, so it cannot rise through the mantle. It's the same principle that keeps oil floating on water, but in reverse. The only natural upward movement inside Earth comes from heat-driven convection, where hotter, less dense material slowly rises. But that movement happens at a speed of centimeters per year. Even the powerful Mantle plume beneath Hawaii rises at only about 10 centimeters annually, not meters per second. And yet, what was recorded wasn't slow movement. It was rapid, directed, and controlled. At 9:15 UTC, the Swarm satellite detected a gravitational anomaly over the South Atlantic, a region already known for its unusually weak magnetic field. But this time, the data showed something entirely different. Instead of magnetic field lines shifting naturally, they were being physically pulled outward, as if something above the planet was grabbing them and stretching them into space. This wasn't a fluctuation, it was a force acting on a planetary scale. At the exact same time, the GRACE-4 satellites recorded a change in distance between them just 4 micrometers. That may sound insignificant, but for these instruments, it represents a massive shift in mass below. Hundreds of millions of tons of material had moved to a new position inside Earth between orbital passes. These satellites were designed to track ice melting and groundwater changes, not the sudden movement of core material. Yet the data was clear. Then came the seismic confirmation. The global seismographic network detected a compressional wave oscillating at exactly 0.03 Hz, originating from the boundary between the core and mantle. 3 completely different systems, magnetic, gravitational, and seismic, all pointed to the same conclusion at the same moment. Something deep inside Earth was moving upward at a speed that geology cannot explain. And that's where the real question begins. Because if this isn't a natural process, then what force could possibly move something that massive, that dense, and that deep against the fundamental laws that have governed this planet since its formation? The answer lies in something that defies conventional physics. To grasp it, we need to revisit a property of iron known as the Curie temperature, the point at which magnetic materials lose their permanent magnetism. For iron, that threshold is around 770 degrees Celsius. Earth's outer core, by contrast, burns at 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Celsius, far above that limit. The molten iron in the outer core isn't magnetic in the sense that a bar magnet is. You can't pull it upward with a simple magnetic field. The Geodynamo, which generates Earth's protective magnetic field, works through a different process, Magnetohydrodynamics. Here, the motion of electrically conducting liquid iron in the presence of a magnetic field creates electrical currents, which in turn generate their own magnetic fields in a self-sustaining loop. It's a delicate system, but it is not capable of being externally manipulated to extract iron upward at the observed speed. Physics, as we know it, forbids it, and yet the data show precisely that. The force driving the molten iron upward doesn't originate on Earth, it originates at 3-2 Atlas. Observations from the Fermi Gamma Ray Telescope confirm that 3-2 Atlas is running a continuous fusion reaction, generating a magnetic field powerful enough to anchor a flux tube directly to Earth's magnetic pole. This is not theoretical, it's measured. The result is a frame-dragging effect predicted by general relativity, a phenomenon where a spinning massive object twists the very fabric of spacetime around it, influencing nearby mass. Scientists call this gravitomagnetic induction. In this case, it's not a small effect, it's planetary in scale. The molten iron rises through Earth in a controlled column, counter-rotating against the planet's own spin. This is not chaos, it is precision engineering on an unprecedented scale. By 11:30 UTC, Japan's lunar monitoring sensors detected a secondary signal echoing off the moon, perfectly matching the rotational frequency of the iron column. 3-2 Atlas pulses every 410 seconds, and each pulse pushes the iron upward by 50 meters. This synchronized cycle is measurable in period, amplitude, and cumulative effect, a planetary-scale system that 4.5 billion years of Earth's history had never experienced. By 12:45 UTC, magnetometers in Greenwich and Boulder recorded a 4% drop in total magnetic field intensity in just 6 hours, a change that would normally take centuries. This is not merely a weakening, it's a direct consequence of the outer core's iron being removed from the Geodynamo system. The protective shield that deflects solar wind is flickering, its engine stalling, and the effects do not stop there. At 14 UTC, the European Synchrotron Radiation Facility detected ground vibrations at 7.83 Hz, the Schumann resonance, a natural frequency of Earth maintained by lightning around the planet. The amplitude of the resonance was significantly above baseline, indicating that the rising iron column's electromagnetic oscillations were coupling with the ionosphere, reinforcing this frequency. In other words, the system is not just moving mass, it's broadcasting. Earth itself is being used as a transmitter. This is extremely low frequency, ELF, radio, on a scale that humans have never approached. Even the massive Project ELF antennas built by the US Navy during the Cold War, designed to reach deeply submerged submarines, are dwarfed by this natural planetary transmitter. By 15:30 UTC, seismic sensors in Japan and Chile detected a modulation pattern embedded in the oscillation of the iron column. Every 13.8 seconds, the column expands and contracts, its amplitude encoding a binary sequence of large and small pulses. This pattern, initially recorded in seismic data, was confirmed by the Allen Telescope Array at 15:45 UTC, which detected the same binary signal as a radio burst at 1.42 GHz, the hydrogen line. The iron column and the radio transmission are one and the same, two forms of the same information being broadcast simultaneously. The planet is acting as both antenna and transmitter. By 16 UTC, the Van Allen radiation belts showed an 18% drop in particle density within 20 minutes. These particles were not simply drifting, they were being harvested as energy for the iron column, their kinetic energy converted into the electrical current, driving the oscillations. Every step in this process, from the rising iron to the weakening geodynamo to the extraction of belt particles, forms a self-amplifying feedback loop. 3. 2. Atlas is actively powering the column, and the system is accelerating. By 16:30 UTC, Japanese seismic arrays confirmed that the iron had pierced the 660-kilometer transition zone, the densest barrier in the mantle, Unlike natural mantle plumes, which spread laterally when hitting this barrier, the column maintained perfect coherence, defying every model of geological behavior. The column was not merely rising, it was engineered to rise. This is the moment where Earth becomes more than a planet. It becomes a designed communication system, a planetary-scale transmitter. And as the sequence continues, the signals are not random, they are aligned to the planet's natural resonance, optimizing efficiency in a way no natural process could anticipate. The implications are staggering, and they only deepen when we consider what comes next. By mid-afternoon, the signs were undeniable. The auroras, normally confined to high polar latitudes, were now visible much further south. By 1545 UTC, the auroral oval extended all the way to Mexico City in broad daylight, a level of expansion never recorded outside extreme geomagnetic storms. The planet's magnetic shield, weakened by the rising iron column, could no longer contain charged particles from the solar wind, allowing them to penetrate deeper into the atmosphere. GPS satellites began registering timing errors. Power grid operators reported unexpected induced currents in northern transmission lines, and radio communications were disrupted. Every technological system that relies on the Earth's magnetic environment was experiencing anomalies in real time. At 1630 UTC, the Green Bank telescope pinpointed the extremely low-frequency beam generated by the iron plume. Surprisingly, the beam did not terminate at 3-2 Atlas, it passed through it, continuing outward to a dark, previously uncharted coordinate in the constellation Orcus. When emergency observations were made with the Hubble Space Telescope, the images revealed something extraordinary: a gravitational lens, bending the light of distant background stars into the classic Einstein ring pattern. There was a massive, invisible object at the target location, its presence detectable only through the distortions it caused in spacetime. This wasn't a star, it wasn't a planet, and it wasn't visible in any existing astronomical catalog. The discovery shifted the narrative entirely. 3-2 Atlas was not the origin of this operation, it was a relay. The object in Orcus, dark yet immense, was the actual receiver of the planetary-scale transmission. The iron plume rising through Earth's interior, oscillating in precisely timed pulses, was not a natural geological process. It was the mechanism of a transmission system spanning both planetary and interstellar scales. The question, previously academic, became immediate. Was the breach of the crust above the iron column an accidental side effect of building the antenna, or was it intentional? Was the crustal breach itself a final output designed to complete the communication cycle? The answer leans toward design. The civilization responsible for the relay has been monitoring Earth for billions of years. Every interaction, from seismic monitoring to biological evolution, has been calibrated to avoid catastrophic damage while achieving precise measurement objectives. The crustal breach, therefore, is not a weapon, it is a keyhole, a precise point through which the signal is completed. The system is engineered to extract information about the planet in real time. Its geology, core composition, biological activity, electromagnetic environment, and even signs of technological development. From a cosmic perspective, the iron plume and its engineered oscillation are part of an intricate network that spans the galaxy. The coordinates in Orcus are not random, they form part of a lattice of dark matter nodes, an infrastructure that extends across the Milky Way. Observations of a similar lattice near Orion days earlier revealed the same Fibonacci-based pattern, confirming that the architecture of this network is deliberate and mathematically precise. The rising iron column is essentially a planetary antenna, transmitting data to a node in this interstellar lattice. When the final pulse completes, the message will be fully assembled and interpreted by the civilization at the other end. As the column approached 450 kilometers from the crust, the signals intensified. The iron plume's oscillation continued to couple with Earth's electromagnetic cavity, amplifying transmission efficiency and maintaining synchronization with the planet's natural Schumann resonance. By now, the system was producing signals orders of magnitude more powerful than any human-built transmitter. Every pulse, every oscillation, every modulation was not random. It was part of a precisely timed, self-amplifying sequence designed to ensure that Earth itself was an active participant in the transmission. The feedback loop was complete. Rising iron reduces geodynamo circulation, weakening the magnetic field. That allows Van Allen belt particles to escape, which are then harvested as energy to sustain the oscillation. Each cycle feeds the next, accelerating the process. The iron column maintains coherence through the mantle, bypassing natural barriers that would normally dissipate such a plume. Seismic tomography confirms its counter-rotation against Earth's spin, a feature impossible under natural geological conditions. By 1630 UTC, the planetary-scale ELF beam was fully formed, aimed at a specific point in the galaxy, aligned with a node in the dark matter lattice. The consequences are breathtaking. For the first time, Earth is acting as a transmitter in a network that spans light years, sending the collective record of its planetary and biological history to a recipient whose identity and intentions remain unknown. And yet, the most astonishing detail lies ahead. The system is designed not just to extract data, but to communicate awareness back to the civilization inhabiting the planet. The signal carries enough information for the receivers to observe the planet as it exists, to verify that its inhabitants can detect and interpret the presence of the infrastructure without realizing it. The Earth itself is becoming both subject and messenger in a conversation that has been unfolding for billions of years. As the afternoon progressed, the effects on Earth systems became impossible to ignore. Aurora Borealis, which usually dances only near the poles, now stretched into mid-latitudes, appearing as far south as Mexico City. This was daylight aurora, visible to anyone looking up, a stark visual confirmation that the magnetic field was no longer containing charged solar particles. Simultaneously, GPS satellites began accumulating timing errors. Power grids across northern regions reported anomalous currents induced by the shifting geomagnetic field, and radio communications became increasingly unstable. Every system dependent on Earth's natural electromagnetic environment was being impacted, yet none of these were accidental effects. They were expected outcomes of the process underway. At 1630 UTC, the Green Bank telescope successfully triangulated the extremely low-frequency beam emanating from the iron plume. Unexpectedly, the beam did not terminate at 32 Atlas. It passed through it, extending outward toward a dark coordinate in the constellation Ucus, a region without any catalogued stars or celestial bodies. Emergency observations using the Hubble Space Telescope revealed a gravitational lens at that location. The light from distant background stars bent around an invisible, massive object, forming a perfect Einstein ring. This confirmed that the destination of the planetary transmission was not a visible object, but a dark mass of substantial size, capable of producing detectable gravitational effects from light years away. The realization was staggering. 2. Atlas is not the origin of the operation, it is a relay, a conduit. The iron plume rising through Earth's mantle is not a random anomaly or a geological accident. It is an engineered system designed to transmit planetary data to this remote dark matter node. Every pulse of the rising iron column encodes information, geological composition, core chemistry, biological signatures, technological development, and electromagnetic profiles. The crustal breach above the plume is not collateral damage, it is a precisely calibrated keyhole that ensures the system completes its transmission cycle without causing planetary devastation. The planetary-scale antenna is operational, bridging the Earth to a cosmic network that extends far beyond human perception. The engineering behind this system is beyond anything humanity has ever built. Every pulse of the column is synchronized to Earth's natural resonant frequency, the Schumann resonance, amplifying transmission efficiency and ensuring minimal energy loss. The iron column's oscillation is precisely timed at 13. 8. Second intervals. Expanding and contracting in a binary sequence, large, small, large, large. Small mirrored by the radio burst detected at 1.42 GHz by the Allen Telescope Array. The seismic data and radio signals are two different physical expressions of the same message, broadcast simultaneously through Earth's interior and outer space. This is a planetary-scale modulation system, unprecedented in scope and precision. The system operates as a self-reinforcing feedback loop. Rising iron reduces geodynamo circulation, weakening Earth's protective magnetic field. This allows Van Allen belt particles to escape, which are harvested as energy to sustain the oscillation of the column. Each cycle feeds the next, amplifying power and increasing the speed of transmission. By 17 UTC, the column had breached deeper layers of the mantle previously considered impassable for naturally occurring plumes, maintaining a coherent, counter-rotating structure. The combination of seismic, electromagnetic, and gravitational evidence shows unequivocally that this is an artificial, controlled process. From a cosmic perspective, the lattice of dark matter nodes across the galaxy provides the framework for this transmission network. 2 days earlier, observations near Orion revealed a similar lattice pattern, displaying the same Fibonacci ratios and precise geometric alignment. The node in Ucus is a single vertex in this network, and Earth's planetary antenna is now completing the data transferred to it. The sequence of pulses, crustal breach, electromagnetic resonance, and energy harvesting is a carefully orchestrated method of encoding and sending planetary-level intelligence to a galactic receiver. It is not just a broadcast, it is a conversation with the universe, and Earth is now an active participant. The broader implications are profound. Every natural and human system on Earth, its geology, magnetic field, ionosphere, biosphere, and technological infrastructure is being observed and interpreted through this planetary-scale interface. The system is designed to ensure that the recipients of the transmission can assess the development of intelligent life on Earth and the planet's physical state without triggering catastrophic consequences. It is a precise measurement system operating at the intersection of physics, planetary science, and advanced engineering on a cosmic scale. By 1730 UTC, the iron column was within 450 kilometers of the crust, its oscillation intensifying. The final transmission pulse, designed to complete the record, was imminent. Every sensor, from seismic arrays to space telescopes, confirmed the synchronization of the planetary antenna with the galactic lattice. Earth itself was a living, communicating entity, a medium, and a message simultaneously. The question remains, what will happen when the final pulse reaches the node? What will the civilization at the other end learn? And how will it respond to the data encoded in the iron, the magnetic field, and the planetary vibrations? As the evening approached, the planetary-scale transmission reached its most critical phase. The iron plume, now just 450 kilometers from the crust, pulsed with increasing intensity, perfectly synchronized with the binary modulation pattern and the Schumann resonance. Every oscillation of the molten iron column was mirrored in seismic, electromagnetic, and radio signals. The planet itself had become both antenna and messenger, encoding billions of years of geological, biological, and technological information in a system no human civilization could have imagined or built. This was not merely observation, it was a deliberate and precise communication. By 18 UTC, the crust above the iron column began to show signs of localized deformation. This was not catastrophic fracturing, but a carefully calibrated keyhole, the final conduit for the transmission. Every geological signal, every oscillation, every pulse of the iron was designed to interact with the crust in such a way that the data could exit the planet without destabilizing it. The rise of the iron, the weakening of the geodynamo, the extraction of Van Allen belt particles as energy, all these processes were part of a self-reinforcing system that ensured the planetary antenna remained operational while minimizing destructive side effects. This was engineering at a scale beyond comprehension, a planetary interface with a cosmic network. Observatories around the world continued to capture the unfolding event. Magnetometers at Greenwich and Boulder reported a continued drop in magnetic field intensity. Seismic arrays in Japan and Chile confirmed that the column maintained coherence through the 660-kilometer transition zone, a region normally resistant to any natural plume. The counter-rotation of the iron against Earth's spin was consistent, the modulation pattern unwavering. Even as the planet's surface remained largely intact, the internal dynamics were entirely transformed. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was an active transmitter in a galaxy-wide communication system. Meanwhile, space-based instruments tracked the signals extending through 3-2 Atlas toward the node in Ucus. Hubble's emergency observation confirmed the gravitational lensing effect, revealing a dark mass of incredible density at the destination, aligned perfectly with the transmission path. This dark object was clearly the intended receiver of the planetary message. The iron plume, oscillating at precisely timed intervals, and the simultaneous radio emission formed a dual-medium transmission system. The message carried by the iron was identical to the radio signal, encoded in two physical forms to ensure redundancy and accuracy. The planetary antenna was complete, and Earth had become a participant in a galactic-scale exchange of information. The system was also self-sustaining. Rising iron removed mass from the outer core, weakening the Geodynamo. This, in turn, allowed Van Allen belt particles to escape, providing the energy to sustain the oscillations of the column. The feedback loop accelerated naturally, maintaining coherence, efficiency, and timing. This was not a chaotic natural event, it was a controlled, precise, engineered process. Earth's planetary systems were being utilized as components in a sophisticated galactic communication device, and every movement, every pulse, every vibration had meaning and purpose. As the iron column approached the crust, the final pulse was prepared. This pulse would complete the transmission, sending the cumulative record of Earth's geology, biology, technological development, and electromagnetic signature to the node in Ucus. It was the culmination of billions of years of planetary evolution, now translated into a format readable by an advanced civilization. The crustal breach, the rising iron, the oscillation, the radio emission, and the harvested particle energy all converged in perfect synchronization, ensuring that the signal would reach its destination intact and comprehensible. In this moment, Earth became more than a planet. It became an archive, a messenger, and a participant in a cosmic conversation. The civilization receiving the transmission would now be able to detect, analyze, and interpret Earth's development in real time, confirming that its inhabitants had reached the level of awareness required to understand the infrastructure surrounding them. This was a controlled observation system designed not to destroy, but to communicate, to confirm, and to integrate Earth into a galactic network spanning unimaginable distances.